Welcome to the Gospel Project for Kids. Today, I'm excited to show you how the Worship Hour add-on pack can help you lead a meaningful worship experience for your kids. The Kids Worship resource is crafted for kids in grades 1 through 6. It's designed as one large group experience with small groups forming for part of the time. But if you need a different approach, the Worship Hour add-on can work in any context, including as a large group or even small groups the entire hour. The Worship Hour content focuses on the love aspect of the Learn, Love, Live discipleship plan. While learning and living are included in the worship content, more attention is given to helping kids engage their emotions and use them in a positive way as they learn to love God. Each session features an expected response. The expected response is a common way that kids will respond to the session's Bible story. No matter how they respond to the Bible story, kids will be encouraged to share their responses. Now, flexibility is quite important when it comes to using Worship Hour content. Because every church is unique, we encourage you to get to know the various programming elements and think of them as tools in your ministry tool belt to use to build the best possible worship experience for your kiddos. So with that in mind, let's now walk through a worship time to see how each of these tools looks in action. Now, designed for the leader, the Prepare pages features a visual of the worship experience with suggested times to devote to each part. And included in this, you'll also find an encouraging leader Bible study. This is one of several ways that we want to help leaders teach from the overflow of God working in their lives. Other leader training items can also be found at gospelproject.com. A supply list is provided to help you gather and organize the supplies needed. Now, let's take a look at what a typical worship time might look like. We suggest that you begin worship through high-energy music. Leaders can also use this time to focus on learning as they help kids understand what worship is all about and to explain the meaning of some of the lyrics that the kids are singing. Next, give an introduction to what has been covered in the prior weeks and what will be talked about on that day. Then, leaders have several options for sharing the Bible study. Read the story straight from the leader guide, use the suggested kids sermon outline to craft a message, or play the Bible story video. Afterward, leaders can show kids how that session's story points to Jesus by sharing the Christ connection. This is one of the most important features of a session. The final part of this section of kids' worship is in a group demonstration. An object lesson emphasizes an important point from the Bible story. Most of the group demonstrations involve kid volunteers and a whole lot of fun. In this next section, the worship experience increases the emphasis on loving God and others as a response to the gospel. This is a great opportunity to form smaller discussion groups. These groups could remain in the same room and gather in different areas, or the groups could move to other rooms. Of course, be sure to follow your ministry guidelines, such as making sure at least 2 adults are always present with the kids. During these discussion groups, leaders will ask 4 questions to help kids consider their feelings and help them learn to process those feelings in a healthy way. This is the heart of the kids' worship experience. Afterward, kids will gather together again and participate in a group activity, which is often a game of some sort. Suggested say prompts help leaders connect this activity to what the kids have been learning. This time ends with a suggested block of slower, more contemplative worship music. The worship experience concludes with helping kids move toward living in joyful obedience to God. After a review of the Bible verse being memorized during that unit, the leader shares 2 ways for kids to apply what they learned during the week ahead. These challenges provide a helpful but fun and encouraging way for kids to put their faith in Christ into action. The worship experience ends with a prayer and any announcements before dismissal. If you have a longer worship time and need additional activities, or if you would prefer to swap out more of a game for another element during the worship time, an additional activity suggestion is provided at the end of each session's content. All right, folks, that's a wrap for the Kids Worship Hour.